Come get your duds in order, 'cause we're bound to cross the water. Heave away, me jollies, heave away. Come get your duds in order, 'cause we're bound to leave tomorrow. Heave away, me jolly boys, we're all bound away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Anchored In podcast. I'm your host, Cohen Ingram, alongside co-hosts Jack Billings and Luke Fitzner. We'd like to start this show off by celebrating National Girls and Women in Sports Day, an incredible day to recognize the achievements and the future of women in athletics. We have so much to break down today, from NHL and NBA to Winter Olympics and Super Bowl Sunday inching closer and closer. But first, we have to talk about the blue and white. The Leafs were in Edmonton the other night and absolutely took care of business, dropping the Oilers 5-2 and heading into the Olympic break on a 3-game heater. Jack, that third period power play explosion from the Leafs was something else. What did you make of that effort last night?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see a win against Edmonton always, just because of their, like, how good they are for sure. But I don't like getting on the whole wagon where I can't cheer for the losing. So there's a lot of Leafs fans I heard that are kind of pissy that, like, oh, they're winning the games they're supposed to be losing. Like, obviously we beat like the Flames and the Canucks and all that sort of thing. Then they're getting kind of annoyed that they're winning the games going forward here. But yeah, I can't cheer for the losing. It's just not in me. But I mean, I don't know, there was a lot of good pieces that kind of came out of that. Like, Stolarz had a great game. I mean, they held McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman pointless. So that's a good start too. And I think it's just a good way to just wrap up the last game before the Olympic break here and kind of end on a high note and hopefully come back with a bit more of a bang going into the next little string of games here.
Luke?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good win for the Leafs. Obviously, kind of a surprising win as well. And I know for me, kind of a disappointing one. I was hoping the Oilers could take those 2 points and maybe help out the Sens a bit, but obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, it's impressive. Toronto shuts down that top line for Edmonton. You don't see very many games where McDavid and Draisaitl aren't scoring some points. So it's definitely a good showing for Toronto defensively, which is where they've struggled this year. So, it's maybe a positive sign going into the break. I think it's a good thing that this is their last game before the break to kind of wrap things up on a good note. And so hopefully, they'll see maybe Matthews come back from the Olympics with some hardware. Nylander also, he has a shot at it there with Sweden as well. So,
Yeah, so the power play, as I asked Jack earlier, 2 power play goals in the game. It's their 5th time this year. Last time it was January 1st, 2026, when against the Winnipeg Jets, where they also had 2 power play goals, and they had a 6-5 win. Every single time so far this year, it's been 2 power play goals, nothing more, and they've all resulted in huge wins with 5+ goals or more. So it seems like once the power play really clicks for this blue and white, it's unstoppable. They seem to create a lot more chances, even on equal strength, once they get these power play goals. And I think it's a big fuel booster, if you will.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of like a snowball effect when you've got any of your special teams kind of rallying together and doing their job, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I don't know, you saw like Leafs weren't getting power plays for a good while there, and whether that's a testament to the refs or, pucks fall where they may, like sometimes they don't land the way you want them to. But yeah, I think that was obviously a bright spot of the game, and hopefully that something they can carry forward after the break. But something I wanted to touch on too is just the fact that, like I said, the string of wins is obviously nice, but I still just think it prolongs the sell. I don't think they're gonna, do a whole fire sale and get rid of the whole lot of them. But I do think some pieces are gonna have to move here, and I think it's just the inevitable at this point.
yeah, it kind of seems like where this Leafs team is going at this point in the season. Like, I had faith, I'm not going to lie. Like, halfway through the year or so, they had a cold start, but I thought, it's the Leafs. They're going to come back. But I think we're at the point now where reality's kind of starting to set in, and it's not looking too likely for them. So I don't think, like they're going to, like you said, sell the farm and get rid of Matthews and get rid of Nylander. But if they can retool this team a little bit and maybe focus on potentially getting a top pick in the draft this year, obviously they've got that protection on it in that pick that went to Boston. So they'd have to be bottom 5 if they want to keep that pick, which is a challenge in itself. So I think, a retool might be on the books here for the Leafs if they want to maybe stay in contention with the Matthews-Nylander pairing still on the team, or, we'll see in the future if the direction changes and maybe they decide to fully sell and get rid of those guys. But I think for right now, it's more a retool, and they're going to keep the big names the big names.
So I guess I can follow up on that. I don't know if it was Jack or Luke that I had the conversation with today. For goaltenders, what do you think the future of goaltending looks like for the Leafs? Do you think they build on the Stolarz and Wall combo, or do you think that they try to use Stolarz as a moving piece and build Hildeby and Wall to be the dynamic duo that people see Stolarz and Wall becoming?
Well, I will say this, that last game for Stolarz, I think that was definitely a big confidence booster for him, having getting rattled in those first 2 starts. Again, like I touched on it last time, I just think it was way too early for him to be starting for that matter to begin with. But I don't know. Again, like goalies are very sought after, so that might be a better trade piece to sort of move on from. It's just, I don't know if I can trust Hildeby all the way. I mean, I don't know if I can trust any of those 3 all the way, if I'm honest with you, but it's like, it just depends on what you're going to get back in return. If you're going to really dump off Stoli, and, you better be going for quite a big fish, just because he's been such a big piece of a lot of the winning that this team has done. Yeah, I can't say that I'd like to see it happen, but I think it's very, very possible that they will move Stolarz and kind of just move forward with Wall and Hildeby.
Yeah, I remember, Cohen, we were talking about this just on the
Okay, so
way
it was
back.
you. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I remember we had this discussion not too long ago, and I think kind of what I thought was more of kind of that approach that Jack said, or sorry, yeah, of getting rid of Stolarz. Maybe I thought, he's older, obviously, and he has still that 4-year contract, which it does kind of hurt in a way. $15 million isn't a ton of money to be tied up, but 4 years, he's on the books until he's 36, which isn't ideal. And so I think, if you can have success with the tandem of just Wool and Hildeby instead of Stolarz, it's definitely a move you might want to look at if you're the Leafs. I've liked what I've seen from Hildeby this year. Obviously, the rookie, he hasn't had a ton of action in the NHL, but he's been up for some time now. Both of those guys have kind of been injured, in Stolarz and Wool, so he's definitely seen a bit of action, and I liked what I've seen from Hildeby. And then, of course, Wool, a little bit younger than Stolarz, been with the Leafs for quite some time now as well, and never really got his chance to be their number 1 guy. So I think maybe if you put it in his hands and kind of see what he can do for the team, wouldn't be the worst move if you're the Leafs.
I guess my input on it all is like, if you want to go Stolarz and Wall, it's Stolarz kind of guiding Wall, who's been on an equal playing field. You can't say Stolarz has been much better than Wall performance-wise. But you're not going to get any more out of Stolarz. He's 32 now. There's not going to be much. He's already hit his peak, and I think that was in the playoffs last year in the series against Ottawa. But Wall is definitely going to be that like building piece. Whereas if you go Wall and Hildeby, both of those guys are going to be improving as years go on or as games go on throughout the season. And I think there's just a lot more adjustability in having Hildeby and Wall than having Stolarz and Wall, if you guys get what I mean there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are fair points. I mean, it could easily go, like, it's one of those things I could see every side of it. Like, I wouldn't disagree with any of those ways that we mentioned it's gonna go. I think they're all very real possibilities. I don't know, man. Like, it's hard to just project what teams are gonna do and where they're gonna trade for, because, like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it's so rare that I'm right. Like, it's like it's brutal, but I don't know. It's nice to dream where where they're gonna kind of go and who they're gonna trade for. But
Well, yeah, you just never know. And I think the thing that you said, Cohen, about Stolarz kind of reaching his ceiling with the Leafs is true. He's not really going to do much more. I don't think he's in that spot in his career where he's going to get much better. So, a trade could very well be in the works. Hopefully, they can figure out something that kind of works for both of them before the situation maybe gets worse. I know we also talked about injuries with Stolarz. Obviously, that's been a big problem for him in his time in Toronto. So, another thing that kind of plays into that whole decision is whether or not he's going to be healthy and be able to play, 2, 3, 4 years down the road when he's still owed almost $4 million every year.
I mean, he's a big guy and getting older and older. The body's going to get more and more tired. Like his size and the way that he plays, like I'm pretty sure he can go post to post in the butterfly, no problem,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous because he's a
hmm
monster. Um, but yeah, as the years go on, he's going to start getting more and more worn down. And yeah, I think it's either he's hit his ceiling and he's kind of just coasting right below it, or he's on the decline and the Leafs kind of, as management, have to make a move before it's too late and all that value is just out the window and they're holding on to that $15 million contract.
Yeah. I mean, the Leafs kind of, they don't have to make a decision too quickly either is the thing on it. So I think they're going to wait it out and see this year with probably the Stolarz and the Wool tandem. But obviously the summertime is kind of when teams get more in depth and start talking more about stuff like that.
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
yeah, like all like in terms of like Leafs, like because we're just talking about like them moving on from guys like the certain guys that I would kind of like move on from. I was thinking about it the other day. Like I'd be fine with some like addition from subtraction with like Domi, Yarncroke, and Benoit. Like I think those guys alone, you're gonna get decent pieces back for them. And with guys like, I mean, obviously the big fish. I say big fish and he makes 1.3, but is Bobby McMahon. But I'm saying big fish in the sense that like that cap hit is insane for the player that you're getting, especially the season that he's had, right? So I don't know him and OEL. I think, and while I'm saying this, I think OEL's been our best defenseman across the board all year, and I just think if the price is right on those two guys, you maybe move both of them. It's just it's a matter of seeing where we kind of want to go for here. Like if we want to build for the future, sure, but if it's like a win now sort of situation, you may have to throw in bigger pieces like OEL and that sort of thing.
What I thought was funny about like Bobby McMahon and him potentially going to the Oilers and then the Leafs having this big game against the Oilers the other night. I don't know if you've seen the way that Mangiapane was playing. He is one of like the key pieces that the Oilers would move to Toronto if they wanted to get Bobby McMahon. And he was running around out there like a donkey. He was a hothead and just had his helmet off and he was throwing punches wherever he could land them. And I thought that was so crazy for him to act that way against a team that he might be on in the near future if that's the move that Edmonton wants to make. We've been talking on the Leafs for a little bit now, and we had some big news happen earlier today on NHL prospect Gavin McKenna. Was reportedly out on the town, broke a guy's jaw because apparently a stranger came up to him and disrespected him and his family, said something about his mother, I believe. That's what reports are saying. And Gavin McKenna kind of just stuck up for the situation, and ultimately the guy ended up breaking his jaw, and now there's some court or some law things that are being involved now, I guess you could say. You boys want to dive deeper into this?
Yeah. Well, you're just talking about someone going around throwing punches. I thought that's the perfect segue right there into the McKenna stuff, and you took advantage. So yeah, I mean, what a crazy situation. Like, you never go and think that something like this is going to happen, especially to a top draft prospect like McKenna. But it's it's a situation where he's obviously trying to do the right thing and stick up for his family, and I think a lot of people are going to respect him for that. But at the same time, obviously there's a a way to go about things that doesn't involve putting 20 years of your life at risk, which is what
Yeah.
he's facing right now on the charges. So hopefully, things work out for him, and I think, not that he did the right thing by breaking a guy's jaw, but standing up for your family is never going to be a bad move, I don't think.
Jack.
No, I don't know. It's really hard to make a call on things like that. I definitely think there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to walk on eggshells around him now. Just with all those legal implications there, I think that's definitely a factor that a lot of teams are gonna kind of think about going forward here. But I mean, damage is done now. Um, Again, it's all very circumstantial, so I think just kind of on the basis of how it all happened and went down, I don't know if it's gonna like make or break his career. Uh, I don't know, because we've just seen time and time again, some of these draft prospects get into some trouble with the law, and it does end their careers. But I don't think this is going to be that case. Just off of the basis that we know.
And it's very early on. We should kind of mention that. Like, this is as of today. So a lot of the news that is coming out is very just like top of the water. Nobody's really diving deep, I guess you could say. But I think once scouts or NHL scouts and even reporters start to dive deeper and deeper into this case, hopefully they can try to find a good way to look at this and maybe not destroy his career, because he's been a superstar for 3 years now. Was on the World Junior team for the past 2. Both World Junior teams haven't been able to perform as well as most would want, but he's been a key role on both those teams. If all seems to clear up here, do you think the story of it and how he sticks up for family is going to be a good impression to NHL scouts? Like, would they look at it differently once more and more comes out and it's a positive impact?
Well, I think if, and it's a big if right now, but
Yeah.
if he can, get out of this whole legal situation and, hopefully not face any jail time here, then in the end, honestly, I don't think it's going to matter too much down the line. Like, if you're an NHL scout, maybe even an NHL GM or a coach, there's things that you're going to take into consideration. And, obviously McKenna, he probably is going to admit this himself, but he made a mistake that night. But in doing that, he also, did the right thing for his family. So there's something to be said about that as well. So I think, once again, bearing whatever legally happens, if he gets out of it that way, then I think his draft stock should be just fine.
Yeah, I think there's obviously like all the teams are gonna weigh out all the pros and cons, but all I'm gonna word it as, I'm sure there's prospects that have done maybe not worse, but things along the same lines that obviously get swept under the rug a little bit too, because this one was brought to fruition like top of the headline sort of thing. But like I said, like it just kind of depends how it all sort of unfolds from a legal standpoint. But if he doesn't, like you were saying, Luke, if there's no jail time going into it, I think it's gonna have minimal effects on his draft stocks.
Well, hopefully things all work out. I mean, he doesn't even, when I heard the news, when Luke kind of just like came to me yelling about it, because it shocked me. He doesn't come off as somebody who's, gonna use physical violence as a way to solve things. Like, yes, he has that hockey player tendency, and everybody can snap. So I don't think he used it as in, I'm Gavin McKenna, I'm the best in the world, and like there's nothing you can do about it towards me. And I think if all comes out well about this situation, hopefully he can put a positive light on himself and kind of make people forget about that situation and focus more on his actual skill and his ability to lead on the ice. Talking about leaders, another banger transition, guys. Oh my goodness. Marie
You're on it
Philippe
today.
Poulin was announced as Team Canada's captain heading into the 2026 Winter Olympics. Philippe Poulin has played in 4 Olympics so far, about to play in her 5th. Has 35 points in total, 3 golds, 1 silver. Some of her memorable moments as being listed as Captain Clutch. That is her nickname. Scored both goals in a 2-0 victory over USA to secure gold at Vancouver 2010. And in Sochi 2014, scored the game-tying goal with only 55 seconds remaining in regulation, and then scored the golden goal in overtime to win 3-2. And in Pyeongchang, scored Canada's second goal in the final, though Canada eventually lost in a shootout. And in Beijing 2022, she scored 2 goals in the final, including the game winner in a 3-2 win over USA. She has the track record, boys. Do you think this is a well-earned, and do you think she's going to live up to her captain clutch this year heading into the 2026 Winter Olympics?
I just want to say how sick is it that we're just chatting about the Olympics? It's coming up so close here, and like, it's it's giving me goosebumps, fellas. So I cannot wait. But with Marie-Philippe Poulin, like, it's just she's the face of Canadian women's hockey for a reason. Like, she's just an absolute dog. So yeah, I think it's definitely deserved, and like that whole title, Captain Clutch, like, it doesn't come without some basis, some backup to it, right? Because any headline you're seeing with a Canada win with the women's team, she's probably at the top of it. So yeah, I think it's well deserved. I think that it's such a strong women's team that they've got going forward here, and we've seen like a lot of it showcased with the PWHL, and getting to see like all these women on the main stage just really compete, and I can't wait to see what they do in this tournament for sure.
Luke.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I definitely would agree with you there. And I think Poulin, she's one of the icons of female Canadian hockey and just female hockey in general. She's one of the greats. So it's a great pick. Obviously, there's a lot of greats on that team. And like you said, I'm excited to see what they're going to do. We've got so much that we're looking forward to with the men's side of it, with the NHL finally back. But that's not to discredit the women's side of things as well. And I think you're right. It's definitely going to be an entertaining one.
So heading into this, I do want to mention when the rivalry series went down in November, USA swept the floor. So heading into this, Canada is kind of seen as an underdog on the women's side. USA holding the rivalry series above them on the charts. But on the men's side, I mean, first off, let's mention the women's hockey team starts tomorrow, February 5th at 3 p.m. Eastern when they play against... excuse me if I'm wrong here. Was it Finland? They play against Finland, and then they play against Switzerland on February 7th. And then all the way down 1 week from tomorrow on the 12th, it's going to be Czechia versus Canada in the men's side. So 2 tough matchups for the women between Finland and Switzerland. Do you think they can, if they get 2 big wins here, do you think it's going to rise up for this women's team?
Yeah, I like the Canada versus US is like the classic. I mean, on the women's and men's side of it, right? It's even calling them an underdog. It's like it's the 1 and 2. So I don't know. I feel good about it. I mean, that's me being patriotic in that sense. I'm gonna be bleeding red and white for forever. But I've got faith in these girls. Like I said, like, just seeing all this skill in the PWHL and how they've kind of performed on the stage before. Yeah, they did drop in that rivalry series, but they're still right there. Like, I think these 2 teams are so neck and neck that I think Canada's easily got like the opportunity to take it for sure.
Yeah, and that's just the thing, whatever year you take into consideration with it, whichever team you're rooting for, whoever you think it's better, it's always just a 1 and 2 of Canada and USA, or USA and Canada. So I think, obviously it's not a free path to the finals by any means, or to the gold medal game, but those are definitely the 2 that you would expect to be there, I think. And hopefully, if everything plays out, that's the matchup we get, because I know that that's what we all love, and everyone loves seeing Canada beat the U.S., and then of course they love it, vice versa. But like you said, Billsy, we're all bleeding here, red and white, and hoping for the Canadian women and men to take things home.
So shifting over to the men's side, they have their first matchup against Czechia at 3 p.m. Eastern on, excuse me, Czechia at 10:30 a.m. Eastern on February 12th. And then they end up facing off against Switzerland the next day at 3 p.m. And then they play France on the 15th at 10:30 a.m. So they have two tough matchups, and then they face off against France, which is on paper a much weaker team. What do you think the results are going to be? Because we've seen a lot of NHLers, I guess Crosby, McKinnon went over, and I think Fleury did for the World Championships this summer, and a few others. And they didn't perform as well as a lot of people thought they would. The Switzerland matchup is going to be probably one of the harder ones, especially Czechia, because Pasternak is going to be leading that team. What do you think their first matchup against Czechia is going to look like?
I don't I don't know. I don't think you can discredit just the pure firepower this team Canada has. Like, not to discredit any like of the Czechia team members, or for that matter, but I just think that you look at this star-studded cast, and again, like, anything can happen. Obviously, it's sports. That's why we tune in to each and every game on the edge of our seats. But I think it might be a bit of a blowout, and I'll say it here: it might be a little 5-0. Is how I'm feeling, actually.
Ooh.
Wow, we're making
Bold
predictions
claims
here.
out the gate here on Anchored In Podcast. Luke, can you top that one?
Well, I do like this Czechia team somewhat. I mean, the goaltending is where my eyes go quickly with Lucas Dostal, Karel Vejmelka, and Dan Vladar, who have all been some pretty decent goaltenders this year. So if there's someone that's going to stop Canada on that team, it's probably going to be one of those netminders. Probably Vejmelka will make the start against the Canadians. So if he has himself a game, and David Pasternak, like you said, and then his teammate Pavel Zacha, Andre Palat, I'm looking here, Martin Necas, and Tomas Hertl, a lot of good names on this Czechia team. So obviously, Canada is Canada, and they're going to be rolling out lines with McDavid, and then we're going to Celebrini and Crosby, and, down even in the fourth line, it's going to be, Scheifele and those guys who are still top-tier talents. So it's a tall task for anybody to beat this Canadian team, especially Czechia, but I wouldn't count them out so far. I'll give you 4-1 Canada, make it a little bit closer.
So I think, I don't know, like Pasternak is such a good goal scorer, and the defensive side of Canada is strong with the defensemen, but goaltending wise, you can shuffle these goalies in and out. So I think if Czechia plays the way that all the players on paper should play, I think they're going to at least find two here. So I'm going to say 4-2 Team Canada. But talking about goaltending, we have Darcy Kemper, Logan Thompson, and Jordan Binnington. We've seen Jordan Binnington perform in tough situations like this when he played in the Four Nations face-off for Team Canada. Darcy Kemper and Logan Thompson now added to the mix. What do you think the system is going to be like goaltending-wise for Team Canada ahead of the Olympics?
I would certainly... Sorry, Bill, go ahead there.
Go ahead, Luke.
Well, I think Logan Thompson is the one that everyone is hoping probably comes out as the starter for Team Canada. He's definitely got the best stats to back it up, and I know a lot more stats-driven arguments are being made nowadays as compared to maybe in the olden times when we talk about just experience and whatever for Binnington, but I don't think the numbers are there for him, and I wouldn't like to see him suiting up unless he had to, honestly. Because Thompson's been so good, and then you've got that decor of, Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey's out there, Shea Theodore, just a lot of good names. Canada should not be giving up a lot of goals, obviously, in this Olympics, and so I think the margin for error, there's not going to be a lot, and there's obviously guys waiting to step up if Thompson can't perform, or Kemper, or, the next guy is always going to be waiting there to take the spot.
Yeah,
Jack.
where I think they're gonna head is the direction I do not want them to head in, and I think they're gonna
Yeah.
put Jordan Binnington in that net. And I mean, the stereotypical that like all goalies are psychos. He is the psycho of the psychos. I just, you know what? It makes for good like theatrics when the guy's in between the pipes, because some of the things that go on when he's on the ice are just, it's unreal. But again, like, he has proven that he can kind of get the job done for you. So I think it's his net until I mean, obviously knock on wood here, but if he does give up some sort of a blowout, I think he's lost it for the tournament, sort of thing. Just because like he kind of just plays with his heart on his sleeve, and I think the coaching staff really loves that, and I think there's there's a place for it for sure, but I just think that that's the direction they're going to go, just because in international games, like, they always seem to go, not always, but they tend to go with Binnington, and have for the last couple of outings for sure.
I mean, I'm liking the takes here, boys. I'm gonna have to agree with Jack. I think they're just gonna go with the Binnington to be safe. He's proved he performs a lot better when he's in the nation's colors. Logan Thompson, I think, if he gets his chance to shine, I think he's going to be able to pull through. I mean, he's been a great piece for the Washington Capitals in their success this year, as well as Darcy Kemper. I mean, this is the most balanced, I guess you could say, the goaltending lineup has been for Team Canada heading into a big tournament, and I'm super excited to see what the tournament brings. Like, I'm itching for Winter Olympics right now, boys. You guys don't even understand. We just hit the 30-minute mark here in episode number 3 of the Anchored In podcast. We are going to have a quick break, and we'll be right back with so much more, because we still have to talk about the NBA trade deadline that is in the mix right now, and then Super Bowl 60 coming in just a few days. Stick around right after the break. You don't want to miss it. All right, everybody, we are back from the break. I'm Cohen Ingram, your host here of the Anchored In podcast, alongside Jack Billings and Luke Fitzner here tonight. Let's start off getting out of the break here with the big NBA trade deadline. The Toronto Raptors receive Chris Paul, giving away Ochai Agbaji, excuse me if I mispronounced that, in a 2032 second-round pick. And Los Angeles Clippers received draft rights to Vanja Marinkovic. But the one thing about Chris Paul heading into this one is he isn't expected to report. He will either be traded again or waived from the Raptors lineup. So it makes people wonder, what kind of pieces do they have to put together with Chris Paul to be able to make a big impact on the Raptors lineup heading into the second half of the year. Luke, let's start off with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trade for the Raptors that, it's a little bit of a weird one, obviously, with Chris Paul not planning to come and play for Toronto. So, I mean, they didn't really lose anything in this. Obviously, it's not a negative move for them, but it's just kind of one of those trades that's not going to change much. Now, I think the Raptors are headed in a solid direction, especially this season with the improvement that we've seen from them compared to last year. It's been huge. So if they were to go out and try and do something else, I could get behind that. Obviously, Domantas Sabonis was in talks, or his name, I should say, was in talks with the Raptors, but that seems to have settled down and isn't going to be happening, which is a little disappointing. I would have liked to see them go out and get a big name like him, especially in that, power forward or center position. It could have been huge to really help out their chances at making a playoff run. So I think they should stay open to considering adding someone. Obviously, this roster is good, but is it that good that you're going to win an NBA championship? Probably not.
Jack.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chris Paul thing was some sort of luxury tax thing, and I'm not going to sit here and lie and pretend like I know what that means in any aspect, but I think it's just, for lack of a better term, sort of a cap dump. It's just like a bit of a money shift going on there, like, because obviously you said he's not necessarily going to play for the Raps. I don't know, man. Like like Luke was saying there, like I don't think Sabonis is available anymore. He doesn't plan to leave the Kings, and I don't really know where the Raps go from here. It's just, I mean, they may have to get sort of a B tier guy or move something around because, like I said, with the big contract that Pirtle's got, and I mean, I can't even tell you how many times or how many games he's missed with this back injury here. It's a nagging thing that goes on, and I don't know. It doesn't look like a complete starting five just with him in and out of the lineup. It doesn't really fuel my faith in this team, I'd say.
Well, I mean, they've been able to perform without Jakob Pertl and RJ Barrett being in and out of the lineup with injury as well. Excuse me. But it makes you question on if they were able to make a pickup. I know Domantas Sabonis says that he's off the market. He doesn't want to be traded. He wants to stay in Sacramento. It makes you wonder if they were able to make a decent pickup on the big man side of things, how much better it would impact this Raptors squad. But around the other teams in the league, like some big trades so far, Kobe White and Mike Conley Jr. went to Charlotte, while Chicago received Colin Sexton, Ousmane Ding, and 3 second-round picks. And I think Kobe White and Mike Conley Jr. are going to be a big pickup for the Charlotte Hornets team, especially with the way they've been performing with Con Knippel, who's a rookie this year, and absolutely lighting the torch when it comes to the 3-point shots and 3-point percentage. But yeah, I think it's almost, I shouldn't say disappointing that Domantas Sabonis doesn't want to be traded, but it's, as a Raptors fan personally, it's heartbreaking to hear. What about you guys?
Yeah, I would have liked to see the Raptors try and acquire him, and who's to say they still can't? Obviously, anything can happen. We've still got one more day until the deadline hits tomorrow. So obviously, the Raptors should, and I hopefully think they will continue to try and pursue him, and then maybe other options as well. Because, like you said, they're doing so well without Pirtle, without Barrett. Why not throw those guys in a trade and get someone that's actually going to play meaningful games for you at a position that you're kind of lacking at, especially with the strength that the rest of the lineup brings with Ingram and Barnes, and quickly kind of filling out, the 1, 3, and 4 kind of spots. So if they could manage it to find a big man to fill that role and maybe offload the contracts of Barrett and Pirtle in the process, it wouldn't be such a bad thing for Toronto.
Jack.
Or hold on to your seats here.
Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
What if you throw whatever you can at the Bucks and bring Giannis to Toronto? And maybe you get a third team in there, get like I said, like a B tier big man for the team, and go run back 2019.
Wow. I mean,
why not?
It's not the worst take in the world because Giannis's name is on the table. There's been connections to Toronto for years now with Giannis.
Yeah.
As an international city, and he's obviously an international player, that there would be a good pairing there. And Toronto seems to have the assets to be able to do it. You might have to put Scotty Barnes' name in there, which I know Toronto fans aren't going to like to hear. But it was talked about earlier today on our pod, I remember, at school. And I didn't necessarily agree with it, but it's definitely something that you have to listen to and kind of hear it out, I think. So I'm not too against you for bringing it up, Billsy. I think it's definitely an interesting topic of bringing Giannis to Toronto, and it would almost instantly make them a contender.
I mean, you guys are telling me you're not comfortable parting ways with someone like Scotty Barnes if you're getting Giannis, one of the top 3 players in the NBA still.
I guess if you guys want my opinion, I'm really going to spoil you guys here, but I like the way that the Raptors are playing right now. I know they definitely need a big change in order to make that huge impact and make a chip run, but you got to remember they've been terrible for multiple years in a row now. This is the first year that they're finally stepping up, and all it took was the addition of Brandon Ingram for things to switch around for these guys. And I don't know, you could play the safe game, keep the team, keep the chemistry that you guys are building on this year and build it and keep maybe 1 or 2 more consistent years until you have the right pieces to make that big push? Or you can go all in, balls to the walls, as some say, and just try to go for the biggest pickup this year while it's still available and see if that is really the difference maker.
Well,
What
the interesting
happened the
part
last time?
too is Giannis's contract, right? He's free agent in a couple of years, so like you said, with lining it up kind of with the future, maybe if they could wait it out until the summer of 2027, when Scotty Barnes is hitting his peak, Brandon Ingram, he's still that top scorer, and then you've got maybe some other pieces to support, and then you bring in Giannis, could also be an option without losing any assets there.
Well, I think just to add on to that, like Brandon Ingram is steady right now. He's not great. He's steady. Same with a lot of other players in this lineup. Emmanuel quickly can be streaky, but even on those downside of games, he's still able to perform in one way or another, whether that's through points, assists, or rebounds. It's not all three most of the time. There's some games where he's just an absolute monster and can collect all three. But there is a risk factor to it. Like Brandon Ingram has been in the league for some time now. He's got the feel of everything. This might be a one and done thing for him to perform this steady for an entire season. And then all of a sudden he's just off the market for whenever the Raptors need to make that big move for Giannis and free agency. Or you can take advantage of the way you guys are performing right now. And I think it gets tricky whenever you come to that situation. And I think for both Toronto teams, the Leafs and the Raptors, these trade deadlines have been crucial and will be crucial for the Maple Leafs especially. Jack.
Well, I just think looking back at, obviously, again, like I said, I'm on the Giannis train here, but I don't know, you just see like team in the same conference, like look at the Cavs. The Cavs got exponentially better and teams are just going to keep getting better and better and better. So I'd like to see them do something. Like I said, Chris Paul's not going to see the court, but I don't know. Like you were talking about streaky players. I don't think Giannis is streaky. I'm just saying. Just saying.
You
know,
need
the
to be
last
in the Raptors front office.
well, maybe that's where I'm headed next.
You might be able to persuade some things.
You guys don't know, okay? Yeah, I don't know. Last time they took a big swing was Kawhi, and that ended pretty well. So I don't know.
Drop their franchise player for Kawhi. 1-for-1 though. At that time, it was 1-for-1, I believe, unless if there was a pick involved on the Raptors side. But it wasn't
Danny
anything
Green
too
that the
valuable.
Raptors also got, and Pirtle went to the
Danny
Spurs.
Green, right? Danny Green was
with a first-round pick. So it was DeMar, Pirtle, and a first for Green and Kawhi, and
Was
both
Pirtle
of those
a rookie
guys.
that year? Was
He
that
was
right
young.
after he got picked up?
He was pretty young, because
He was a first-round draft pick, and then Raptors
Might
just
have
got
been.
rid of him right away.
Yeah. And now he's back, and now they want to get rid of him again, which they're probably going to end up doing, I would say. And it's probably the best move for them as well with the contract that he's got.
Billsy dropped a what if and got me all antsy for the moves that the Raptors have to make in like 24 hours T-minus.
Yeah.
So you
Still
better
got time.
call the front office over at Scotiabank Arena and start yelling on the phone in the next 15 minutes in order to get your message across, pal.
And I think Zach
make
and
my
Griff are
calls.
there right now watching the Raps.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
tell
is he at
those
the
guys
game
to-
against the Timberwolves?
What's that?
Is he at the game tonight against the
Yeah.
Timberwolves?
Yes,
I guess
sir.
he's got season tickets. He's always there.
He's always there.
Let's shift over to the big game. NFL Super Bowl 60 this Sunday. Seahawks, Patriots. We offended a lot of Drake May fans in our last podcast with the comments on Stidham's performance compared to Drake May's. Drake May came into this one questionable because of his shoulder injury that he stated to reporters earlier on in the week, but then came out a few days ago and said that he's feeling 100% now. Do you guys think that this is just an athlete's mindset? You're going to push through anything especially when you're heading into the biggest game of your life. Do you think he's just pushing through and kind of trying to hide it and forget this shoulder injury even exists? And will it show in the game on Sunday? Or do you think that he's being like serious. Like he's really 100% right now, and he's going to be a dangerous weapon in the game.
I think he's going to be good to go for the most part, honestly. I mean, he's got the extra week of rest, which is pretty huge, I think, in this case. Obviously, something's going on with the shoulder, but at the end of the day, he's got to play for 3 hours, and I think he's going to be able to manage that, especially in Santa Clara. You know, it's not like he's going to have to be worrying about the cold or anything like he did in that AFC Championship game. So, end of the day, when it comes down to it, I think the shoulder's going to be no problem for May, honestly.
Jack.
Yeah, I think like we saw across like some of the articles that I was reading in terms of like practice and with like injury reports, uh I find like it's not major concern if it was just limited duties. So that means they still have confidence. They're just trying to keep it sort of maintained and, you know, keep him fresh for obviously the big game. But he did participate in practice, and like I said, if the guy says he's good to go, he's good to go. I don't think it was ever much of a worry. I think there was like a Mike Rabel interview where he didn't seem too concerned about it as well. Yeah, I think Drake will be rocking and rolling.
I'm so excited for this matchup, boys. It's a rematch of 2015 Super Bowl between Brady and Russell Wilson, two of the greatest quarterbacks in that era, some would say. New era, new Super Bowl. Will this be a different outcome? I mean, the Seahawks have struggled in Super Bowls before, have been able to come out once, and now heading into the big game against one of the toughest matchups. Some said going into playoffs that the New England Patriots were going to be the favorite in the end, and they're finally here. Do you think the Seahawks are going to shut them down? And is the defense worth all the hype going into this game? Like, will New England test it?
I think the defense is definitely going to be the X factor, I guess, for Seattle. Obviously, Drake May and that offense have been strong all season, and especially in the passing game, he's been incredible. Obviously, he's leading this team to a Super Bowl at age 23, which is just unheard of. So he's been super strong for the Patriots in that passing offense. So Seattle's defense has a chance now to step up and finally shut down the Patriots. They've taken down, I think it was like 3 of the top 5 defenses so far in the playoffs, which is the first time that's ever been done. So I think Seattle's going to be their biggest test, obviously, in the biggest game. And I think the Seahawks should probably come out on top in this one. They are the favorites for a reason.
Yeah, I think, and again, this may be a wild take again, but that's what this is for, right, fellas? So
you got to go viral somehow.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as drastic to the respects of that 49ers game, but I think the Seahawks are going to hit the ground running, quite literally. Like, I think Kenneth Walker is going to cause some damage early on in this game, but I don't know, like, I mean, calling back to when it's just crazy seeing like Sam Darnold's sort of career where he was called like a quote unquote bust most of his career, and then that interview when he had quite a game against that Pats defense when he was a Jet, and said he was seeing ghosts out there. Like, you know, you got to think what's going to change that he doesn't run into Casper on that field again. But I don't know, like it's a lot of people are saying it's one of the most like quote unquote boring Super Bowls. Like, I don't know. Like, I think these teams are going to surprise us. Like, it might be a dog and dog fight. I do still think that the Seahawks are going to come out on top here. Cue all the Pats fans in the comments here. But
we're going into deep waters, Bosey. Be careful.
Yeah. God forbid. But yeah, my opinions haven't changed since the last time. I think it's still going to be Seattle coming out on top.
All the East Coast Patriots fans are shutting their TVs off or whatever they're listening to the podcast. They're turning the radio down, everything. No, I have to agree on this one. The Patriots, yes, they've been able to beat 3 out of the top 5 defenses in the league. But again, if you look at those games, the offensive side of all those teams really wasn't there. If the Broncos had Bo Nix, it would have probably been a totally different situation. It probably would have been Broncos Seahawks in this game for all we know. I think now that the Patriots are going to see what a solid offense and a well put one of the best defenses in the league, like what the combination of those two puts out onto the field, I feel like the Patriots are going to probably get stunned in the first 2 quarters. Like heading into the half, they're going to be like, whoa, Seahawks know how to play ball. And I'm going to say it's going to be similar to last year's. I think just like how the Eagles kind of swept the floor against the Chiefs, I think Seahawks are going to sweep the floor against the Patriots. Another diss on all these Patriots fans, but this is how I feel, and I think a lot of people can agree with the fact that, the Patriots just haven't seen a strong offense in a while.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle's kind of a double-edged sword with that offense and defensive attack, like you said. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think the Patriots can't really afford to make any mistakes here early, which is going to be tough with Drake May, the young quarterback. Obviously, Darnold has the edge and experience in this one. But I think it's still anyone's game early. I think if the Patriots can get off to a good start and maybe establish a bit of an offensive game plan, then they can do something and get a couple scores up on the board before the half. They'll maybe be looking good going into the second half. But like you said, if Seattle can come at them quick and fast in that first quarter, then I think I can definitely see this game getting out of hand early for the Patriots if they're not careful.
Jack, your opinion, but be careful. I don't want to hurt Patriots fans.
Yeah, I don't know. Like this Patriots slander, you gotta understand it comes from me being a Toronto fan and that being a Boston-based team. That's really where it all stems from. And I mean, you can get mad at me all you want. It doesn't make a difference to me, fellas. Yeah, I don't know. Like, you gotta think about it from both ends. Either way that it goes, just the storylines that both quarterbacks have had, it's just going to be crazy. Like this is Drake May's second year. Like the way he's turned it around and developed from his rookie season and to ending up in the Super Bowl. And like kudos to him, obviously. Like what a season the kid's had. But I don't know, like Sam Darnold, like he's grown. No more ghosts on the field. He's had his best season offensively, like by a landslide. So why not just get the job done? And I mean, I think too, like just a little bit of a tidbit on his side. Like, I don't know if you guys saw that little article where Sam's grandpa was actually the Marlboro Man. So that's kind of a big deal.
Whoa.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's just another up he has.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Just so
Some
you guys
insider
know,
info.
there's 2 separate sets of fans on the New England Patriots side. There's Drake May only fans. Then there's New England Patriots fans. Like, there's some people that are just fans of Drake May, not even fans of the Patriots, just Drake May lovers. And we offended a lot of them on the last episode, and I just want to clarify. All this hate is towards the Patriots. It's not towards Drake May. The guy's had an unreal season so far this year. I mean, he's pushing 4,500 yards total on the year. He will probably hit that in the Super Bowl. 31 passing touchdowns, only 8 interceptions. He has the stats over Sam Darnold, but the defense is going to be the difference maker here, boys. That's going to do it here for episode number 3 here on the Anchored In podcast. Super Bowl 60 takes place at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on February 8th on NBC and Peacock. We are all so excited for the big game, and I hope you guys are too. That's going to do it here for this one, folks. Thank you all for sticking around till the very end. I'm Cohen Ingram alongside Jack Billings and Luke Fitzner. Thank you all for cooperating. I know it's been difficult getting it published and getting this one out. We're going to try to be as consistent on that as possible. Schedules have been all over the place, but we're trying to get content out as much as possible for you guys. So thank you once again, and we will see you all for episode number 4 next time.